All right, so there's just a couple more I want to talk about here and finish up our number systems. And again, try to save the easy ones for last so that, you know, it wouldn't be too bad. So can I get rid of that? There we go. Okay, so if you look at these ones down kind of here, this is on page 219 in your book. But basically, later the Chinese had the rod system, and that it was base 10. And so they would just, you know, draw the picture based on the power 10. And it says that they had two different symbols depending on what place value it was. So if you're kind of like, how would they use to know 9 this way versus 9 that way, or 8 that way versus 8 this way, 7 that, or so forth. If you read it, it says the horizontal digits, so the vertical digits in the second row are used for place values that are to the even power. So they would have used these in the, singles position, 10 to the 0 power. Not the next position, because that'd be 10 to the first. 10 squared is even, so they would have used the bottom row symbol. 10 cubed not. 10 to the fourth is even. So they would have alternated between top row, bottom row, bottom row, and so forth. And so if you kind of look at, say, like number 73, right, so obviously they have, 4 of these, so that would be 4 singles, so that would be 4 like in our ones position. And then they have 3 of these, and again, it's sideways because it's in, you know, whatever position, even or odd, whatever that is, but that doesn't matter. And then next we have 7, all right, because there's that symbol, and that's 7. And then lastly of all, we have the 9 symbol, which is down here because, again, they do the even 10 to the 0, 10 squared, 10 to the 4th, you know, those all have, and then 10 to the first, 10 cubed, 10 to the 5th, 10 to the 7th have different symbols. But again, you can just look. But again, you can just write the number. So it's 9,734 to us, and it's base 10, and it's a place value system. So there's no conversion. Like you don't, it's not like Babylonian or Mayan where they have a different base. This is base 10. They just have different symbols than us is all. All right, I'm going to pause it for a second, and then what we're going to do. Okay, so this is kind of more older Chinese than what that rod system was that we just looked at. But the cool thing about this is here's their symbols right here, but it is kind of a place value system, but it's kind of brilliant how they do that. So I'm going to get out of here for a second, but say you have the number, let me grab a pen, 3,264. What they would do is basically say that, okay, well, I have 3 1,000s, like tell the place value, 2 hundreds, 6 of the 10s, and 4 of the ones, which they would just say 4. All right. And so then they just would draw it, right? So they'd be 3. Okay, so if you look at the chart from the previous page, see if I can find that. So you'd look at what their 3 is, but then you'd also put the place value of what it is. So it's 3 1,000s, all right? And so if I go back over here, they would have drawn 3. So kind of there's their 3. And then their 1,000, so you would know like, oh, I have 3 of 1,000. And then you'd look at their number 2, and then you'd say, okay, I have 2. And then they would have had symbol for 100, right? And then you would look for the symbol for 6. And then you'd look for the symbol for 10s to tell everyone you have a 10. And then for 4, you just write the symbol for 4. And everyone would know if there's nothing underneath it, then obviously it's 4 1s. And plus that would come after that anyway. So it's really actually a quite kind of ingenious idea. And so if you look at, if we skip to the next page here, or maybe a couple pages. Let's see, page 242 is what I'm shooting for here. I'm going to pause for a second while I get this up. All right, so I switched a couple pages back here. So if you look at this, what you would do is you would read this number and say, okay, this is 8 based on their chart, and then this is 10s. So I know I have 8 10s. And then whatever this number is 8. So that would be 88 because I have 8 10s with 8. And so I'd write 88. If I look down here, I'd be like, okay, I have 3 of this place value, which is 1,000. So I have 3 thousands. And then I'd look at the next one, and it would be, I have 8 tens. And notice what's missing there. I have 8 tens. I didn't have any hundreds. And so it's really brilliant because they didn't need a 0, because everyone would know if they have 8 tens and they have 3 thousands that they didn't have any hundreds. And so they didn't really need a 0, which is actually pretty cool. So they have 3 thousands, and then they don't have any hundreds, so they don't write anything. And then they have 8 tens and a 1. So that would be 3,081. And again, everyone would know there's a 0, even though they didn't write it. And then here we would have 2 thousands. And then we would have what? 7 hundreds. And then we would have 7 tens and 6. So everyone would know it's 2,776. So again, definitely base 10, super brilliant place value system, but again, kind of a little different set than what was on the rod thing. All right, okay, that should be it. So study all the bases and number system stuff, and you should be good to go.